Everybody knows Shaq, but off camera, he's just a regular guy.
People never believe me when I say I'm just like them. I take out the trash, do dishes, and I struggle with moderate obstructive sleep apnea, or OSA. And a lot of adults with obesity also struggle with moderate to severe OSA. You know those scary breathing interruptions during sleep, the loud snoring, choking, and daytime fatigue? I knew I had to talk to my doctor. Don't sleep on the symptoms. Learn more at don'tsleeponosa.com.
This information is provided by Lilly, a medicine company.
Getting more as a MyLowe's Pro Rewards member is easier than ever with the Lowe's app. Download it today and earn 500 points the first time you log in. Plus, your digital wallet helps you scan, save, earn, and access what you need to manage it all in one place. Download the Lowe's app and take advantage of your Pro benefits today. Lowe's, we help, you save. Valid 12/1/25 through 1/7/26. Offer valid for first login per organization only. Loyalty program subject to terms and conditions. Additional restrictions apply. Visit Lowe's.com/terms for more details. Subject to change.
Come to DSW for the shoes, stay for the fun. Because let's be honest, if shoe shopping isn't fun, are you even doing it right? So go ahead, try something new. Try something different. Good different. Try something that feels like you. You know, the real you. And then definitely brag about it later. Because at DSW, you've got unlimited freedom to play. With sneakers, boots, and everything in between for every style, mood, and occasion, you'll definitely find shoes that get you at prices that get your budget. DSW, let us surprise you.
Hey Canuck fans, welcome to the Line Change Podcast, a presentation of DraftKings. The crown is yours. We are also a proud member of the Hockey Podcast Network. Be sure to check out the network for your favorite podcast covering your favorite team at thehockeypodcastnetwork.com, the home of hockey podcasts, every team, everywhere. Now, in this video, we're going to be going over an article from our friend Begsy, Trevor Beggs from Locked On Canucks and the Daily Hive. He talks about how Quinn Hughes was absolutely spoiled rotten by the Minnesota Wild when he was acquired by them in a trade a couple weeks ago. This is some interesting stuff, having gone ahead and read this article, and I'll admit I'm a little flabbergasted by some of this too. Now, by no means am I saying that they shouldn't have spoiled him, or he doesn't deserve to be pampered, because he does. He's fucking Quinn Hughes. I do the same thing if I was acquiring a player at the caliber of Quinn Hughes. Honestly, this kind of makes actually the Canucks organization, look pretty bad. Just looking at all the stuff that we're going to dive into in this article. Also, because they couldn't do this themselves to keep Quinn happy and around. And also, some people will probably say, winning does help too. Yes, it does. And it also just shows how different the two organizations are, not only run, but just how they are made up. But let's go ahead and dive into this here. I'll leave a link to the article in the description down below for you guys to check out yourselves. Let me go ahead and bring this up right here. Quinn Hughes is the most talented defenseman to ever throw on a Minnesota Wild jersey, and the team treated him as such. Michael Russo and Anthony LaPanta from the Worst Seats in the House podcast revealed earlier this week exactly how the Wild welcomed Hughes to their organization. At the time of the trade, Hughes was in New Jersey with the Vancouver Canucks on the road. As he learned that the trade was nearing completion, he left the team to go be with his brothers, whom he hadn't seen since the NHL season started. According to Russo and LaPanta, the Wild sent a Cadillac Escalade to Jack Hughes' house following the trade to pick Quinn up before ushering him back to Minnesota on the team's private jet. Once he got on the plane, the Wild apparently had his favorite meal waiting for him in Minnesota. They put him up in an unnamed hotel that cost a pretty penny. According to LaPanta, at the hotel, they had a table full of his favorite food waiting for him. The first-class treatment didn't end there, as the team had a bunch of Wild jerseys on his bed at the hotel to give to his family. They also gave him a brand new BMW to drive around while he finds his own car in the city. It looks like the Wild have already started their recruiting mission to keep Hughes in Minnesota long-term beyond the end of his current deal in the summer of 2027. Despite the royal treatment, no one from the Wild remembered to make sure Hughes' equipment ended up on the flight to Minnesota. His equipment was left in his brother's car and was flown to Minnesota the next day, making it just in time for Hughes' debut with the team. That obviously is probably a pretty clear indication and probably the main reason why Quinn Hughes didn't suit up for the Minnesota Wild against the Ottawa Senators. The day after the trade, which would have been the 13th, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. So as you guys can see, Hughes was picked up from his brother's house in a Cadillac Escalade. I mean, they're not really as big of a deal nowadays as they were back in the day, but back in the day, Cadillac Escalades were a pretty freaking big deal. I don't know if you guys ever played, Need for Speed back in the day. Those things were a big deal. And then, of course, he was driven to a private jet, and obviously somewhere in between, being picked up from Jack's house to getting on the private jet, somewhere in between that, he had his now infamous dinner with a select few Canuck teammates who were there in attendance, got on the private jet, and flew to Minnesota, as we just mentioned, not in time for the game against Ottawa. Once on, as we mentioned, he got his favorite meal. And I'm actually curious what Quinn Hughes' favorite meal actually is. Like, what is it? And how did the Minnesota Wild know what it was? I'm assuming Bill Guerin probably knew, with the fact that Guerin and Quinn Hughes are so very close. So perhaps Guerin knew what it was, or maybe even they asked Quinn Hughes about it, what his favorite meal was, and they made sure that it was there for him. You can really tell that the Minnesota Wild are pulling out all of the stops to get Quinn to resign with them, especially after he himself mentioned he was open to doing so in that press conference. Some would say this might feel like desperation. I don't think so. I mean, one could argue that, but I personally do not think this is desperation, because anyone would likely be doing this exact same thing if they were in the Minnesota Wild's shoes. They would be, pulling out all the stops, pampering, spoiling a player of this caliber. Plus also trying to entice and convince a player to stay and re-sign long-term with them. And you just can't tell me that, any team wouldn't move heaven and earth to make sure they kept a player the type or the kind of player that Quinn Hughes is. So there's not a single team out there that wouldn't do something like this, except for maybe, I guess, the Canucks. I'm sorry, I'm just being honest, but it's true, or else Quinn Hughes would still be a Canuck. I mean, it's painful to even utter out loud being a Canucks fan, but it's fucking true, or else Quinn Hughes would still be here. All kidding and jokes aside, this was obviously a class act by the Minnesota Wild, and just further proves what we already knew from the package that they gave up and how much they really wanted Quinn Hughes. They wanted this guy. Quinn even said it in his press conference too, how other teams that were involved and put forth offers, the fact, Canucks gave them what they wanted, showed them what the Canucks wanted in return. All of those other teams, were like, I don't think we're quite willing to give up what you're asking for, even though it's Quinn fucking Hughes that you're getting. So, and Minnesota was willing to do it because they originally did not want to give up Bouillon in this deal. But Bill Guerin ended up, saying, screw it. I want Quinn Hughes, so he was willing to do it. And everyone's been joking about how Bill Guerin's got massive balls for doing this. And yeah, he does. He's got balls of steel. Now, the question remains, obviously, will it all be worth it in the end? All this spoiling him rotten, getting him a BMW. I mean, we don't know. He might not even keep the BMW. But I mean, if I was Quinn, I would totally. And then still get, another car. But that's just me. And, the question is, can they re-sign Hughes in the summer? Keep in mind, Quinn Hughes, he still has like another technically 2 years left on his deal, but starting next summer, he becomes eligible to sign an extension. And now the question is, will he sign it right away or will he take his time? That is completely up to Quinn Hughes, and only Quinn Hughes can make that decision. As a Canucks fan, I can happily say that I hope they do re-sign him because you can tell just how happy he is in Minnesota, in the state of hockey. And yeah, just like what I said, as a Canuck fan, it's painful, but I'm being realistic. I'm being honest. I want Quinn Hughes to succeed. It sucks that it didn't work out here.
All right, everyone, let's talk about drinking and driving, a decision that will change your whole world. Things will never be the same once you get a DUI because legal fees, time in court are just the beginning. Getting into a crash is another way your world could be irreversibly changed after drinking and driving. Your vehicle may not be the only thing that gets damaged in that crash. You could face a life-altering injury or even death. But you're not the only one who could face those consequences. Your decision to drink and drive could permanently change someone else's world, whether you injure them or leave their loved ones grieving. The next time you're out drinking, call a rideshare, a taxi, a sober friend, or a designated sober driver. Always plan for a safe ride home. The only decision that will change your world for the better is the decision to call for a sober ride. It's never worth it to drive drunk. Don't risk it. Drive sober or get pulled over. Paid for by NHTSA.
Everybody knows Shaq, but off camera, he's just a regular guy.
People never believe me when I say I'm just like them. I take out the trash, do dishes, and I struggle with moderate obstructive sleep apnea, or OSA. And a lot of adults with obesity also struggle with moderate to severe OSA. You know those scary breathing interruptions during sleep, the loud snoring, choking, and daytime fatigue? I knew I had to talk to my doctor. Don't sleep on the symptoms. Learn more at don'tsleeponosa.com.
This information is provided by Lilly, a medicine company.
I'm not going to paint him as a villain, but it's going to be a huge win for the Minnesota Wild if they are able to re-sign Quinn Hughes. And I really do hope nothing but the best for Quinn, not just Quinn, but the Minnesota Wild organization as well, just based off of how classy they were to Quinn when they acquired him. And as I said, as much as it pains me to kind of not necessarily cheer for another team to win the Stanley Cup before us, again, I'm not, I have nothing against the Minnesota Wild. I have no ill will towards them. They got a damn good player in Quinn Hughes, and they also gave us some damn good players in return for him. We had that Quinn Hughes live stream where it ended up going 5 hours long, and if you guys watched that one, you guys notice there were several, if you watched it live, you'll notice there were several Minnesota Wild fans in the live chat and giving us nothing but praise and, talking about, William, Rossi, and just raving about the players that they gave up. And we did the same when it came to Quinn Hughes. I mean, they've already got Kaprizov locked up long-term. So they're able to get Quinn long-term. And remember this, too. The new CBA kicking in September of next year, they are the only team that can offer Quinn Hughes a 8-year contract. And if he gets dealt elsewhere, after that, it's only 6 years. So Minnesota's, got it in the world, or the sun world, whatever you want to call it, whatever the term, in the palm of their hands, because they can sign Quinn Hughes to an 8-year deal. No other team can do that. So I want to quickly give a thank you and shout out to my primary sponsors of this video. My primary sponsor, as always, is, of course, DraftKings. So a big shout out to DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports betting book app of the NHL. The jaw-dropping moments that make hockey, well, hockey. Experience them all with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. Missouri listeners, listen up. DraftKings Sportsbook is now live in the Show Me State. New customers, this one's just for you. Bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code THPN, that's code THPN, to turn $5 into $200 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY, which is 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas. Pass-through of per wager. Tax may apply in Illinois. 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Restrictions apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets, which will expire in 7 days. Minimum odds required. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio. This is a limited time offer. Copyright of the NHL 2025, all rights reserved. I would also like to shout out and give a thank you to my secondary sponsor, none other than Gassy Jack Art, maker of this amazing artwork that you always see behind my shoulder. And you guys can check them out yourselves at gassyjackart.com. Moving on, there is something else that was a part of this article that has absolutely nothing to do with Quinn Hughes whatsoever. I won't dive too much into it just because I might want to save it for a video of its own, especially if we get more info about it. But a part of this article there was that I found interesting is a report from the province's Patrick Johnson service recently revealing that the Canucks did not meet the NHL's minimum requirements for on their staff with athletic therapist, certification, which is alarming considering all the injuries that the Canucks have had. The fact that we still have no updates on Bluger, Forbort, we have no idea about. Hedel to an extent. We even still don't know what the injury to Elias Pettersson was. They never, PD never disclosed what the actual injury was. But the fact that the Canucks did not meet the NHL's minimum requirement and it's coming out now, that's bad. Perhaps, and as I said, perhaps we'll dive into that topic in another video once there's more info. I actually cannot read the article on the province as my ad blocker keeps affecting it, so I can't actually read the article, unfortunately. But I will. There is a link to that Patrick Johnson piece, linked to the Quinn Hughes article, so you guys can check that out on the Daily Hive. But yeah, I want to know what you guys think in the end. What do you guys think about the Minnesota Wild absolutely spoiling Quinn Hughes in this? What do you guys think? Sorry, I'm just going to. There we go. What do you guys think about? Do you blame the Minnesota Wild for absolutely spoiling Quinn Hughes? Would you have done the same thing if you were acquiring a player or the type of player that Quinn Hughes is? Are you happy for Quinn Hughes and him, being in Minnesota and helping their chances of being a contender or a Stanley Cup champion in the future? Or are you still torn up about, Quinn Hughes no longer being a Vancouver Canuck? I know it's been 2 weeks since the trade and people are still talking about it, but that is just how big of a trade this was, that people are still talking about it 2 weeks later. I mean, I've lost count how many Quinn Hughes videos I've done since the trade. And it's just, maybe people are starting to get, sick of it, of all the talk and all the, quote unquote whining or complaining, whatever you want to call it. It's news, it's content, it's getting people to watch the videos. And they even said when the trade happened that this was going to be talked about for a very long time. And, we're still in that time. So, but as I mentioned, once again, let me know in the comments section down below what you guys think. And if you guys like this video, be sure to hit that like button. And if you want to stay up to date on all your Vancouver Canucks content, be sure to smash that subscribe button and turn on your notifications so you don't miss a single video. Join the discussion on our Discord page. There's a link in the description down below. It's completely free to join, so go ahead and join that. You can find and interact with us all over social media: Facebook, Instagram, X, TikTok. We're everywhere. Feel free to give us a follow on all of our social media platforms. And if you prefer an audio version of this podcast, you can find us on both Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Feel free to give us a follow on Spotify, rate and review us on either platform, as well as download your favorite episode on either platform as well, because it really helps out the channel, as does the rates and reviews. But once again, I hope you guys enjoyed this little cheeky Quinn Hughes video. The fact that Quinn Hughes spoiled rotten by the Minnesota Wild when he was acquired in the trade. Once again, let me know down in the comment section down below what you guys think of this. Do you guys blame the Minnesota Wild for doing this? Would you have done the same thing? And as always, let's go Canucks. And I'll see you guys in the next video.
Hey, Campoli missed the puck. Ryan Johnson just gets it out. And you stuck the puck back in. Campoli trying to clear it. Burrow shoots, scores!
Everybody knows Shaq, but off camera, he's just a regular guy.
People never believe me when I say I'm just like them. I take out the trash, do dishes, and I struggle with moderate obstructive sleep apnea, or OSA. And a lot of adults with obesity also struggle with moderate to severe OSA. You know those scary breathing interruptions during sleep, the loud snoring, choking, and daytime fatigue? I knew I had to talk to my doctor. Don't sleep on the symptoms. Learn more at don'tsleeponosa.com.
This information is provided by Lilly, a medicine company.
Hi, I'm Andy Staples from Andy and Ari on 3, and another 5-star quarterback just entered the transfer portal. That's what college football is now, a nonstop adventure, and we cover it every day at Andy and Ari on 3, whether it's the transfer portal, the college football playoff, the coaching carousel, you name it, and guess what? It doesn't stop even when the season ends. So join us every day, Monday through Friday. New episodes drop at 3 p.m. wherever you get your podcasts.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening. Happy holidays. Want to give your host a gift? Consider subscribing, rating, and reviewing the show this holiday season. It really helps the show grow. From all of us at Believe, have a Merry Christmas, everyone, and a Happy Holiday.